The close economic relationship between the United States and Canada has historically been significantly bolstered by robust cross-border tourism. Canadians have long been among the most frequent international visitors to the US, contributing billions of dollars to various state economies. However, by 2025, a confluence of factors, including lingering trade disputes, perceptions of an unwelcoming political climate, and a strong push for domestic tourism within Canada, has led to a noticeable and economically impactful decline in Canadian travel to the United States. This travel boycott, while perhaps not a formally organized movement, is evident in travel statistics and is leaving a significant dent in the tourism revenues of several US states that have traditionally relied heavily on Canadian visitors. Here are 8 US states feeling the pinch of this shift in cross-border travel patterns. 1. Florida, the Sunshine State, facing a cooler reception from snowbirds. Florida has long been a premier destination for Canadian snowbirds seeking warmer climates during the harsh winter months. Millions of Canadians have traditionally flocked to Florida for extended stays, supporting the state's hospitality, real estate, and retail sectors. However, by 2025, Florida is experiencing a significant downturn in Canadian visitation. Reduced long-stay travelers, the combination of a less favorable exchange rate coupled with concerns about the political climate and reports of increased scrutiny at the border has made extended stays in Florida less appealing and affordable for many Canadian retirees and seasonal residents. Decline in vacation bookings, shorter leisure trips and family vacations to Florida are also down as Canadians explore alternative destinations, both domestically and internationally. Impact on tourism revenue and jobs. The drop in Canadian spending is directly impacting hotels, restaurants, attractions, and related businesses across Florida, potentially leading to revenue losses in the hundreds of millions of dollars and affecting jobs in the tourism sector. Increased marketing efforts to recoup losses. Florida tourism agencies are actively launching campaigns aimed at reassuring Canadian travelers and highlighting the state's welcoming atmosphere, but the effectiveness of these efforts remains to be seen. 2. California, the Golden State. Tarnished by cross-border concerns, California, with its diverse attractions ranging from sunny beaches and national parks to vibrant cities, has historically been a popular destination for Canadian tourists, ranking as the second most favored state. However, the state is now facing a notable decline in Canadian visitors, drop in leisure travel and road trips. Concerns about the perceived political climate and border experiences have deterred some Canadians from undertaking leisure trips and cross-border road trips to California. Impact on key tourist regions? Areas like Southern California, including Los Angeles and San Diego, which have traditionally attracted significant Canadian tourism, are experiencing a decrease in hotel bookings and visitor spending, economic consequences for the hospitality and retail sectors. The decline in Canadian tourism is impacting California's hospitality, entertainment, and retail sectors, potentially leading to substantial revenue losses, particularly in regions heavily reliant on this market. Efforts to reassure and attract Canadian visitors. Tourism boards in California are implementing targeted marketing campaigns, emphasizing the state's welcoming nature and diverse offerings to try and mitigate the impact of the Canadian travel slowdown. 3. New York, the Empire State seeing fewer cross-border excursions. New York, particularly New York City and border regions like Niagara Falls and Buffalo, has long benefited from its proximity to Canada, attracting day trippers and weekend visitors, as well as those on longer vacations. However, Canadian travel to New York has seen a noticeable decline by 2025. Decline in short trips and border shopping. The reluctance of Canadians to cross the border for short shopping trips and weekend getaways is impacting businesses in border towns and cities. Reduced visitation to New York City. While New York City remains a global draw, the number of Canadian tourists visiting the city has also decreased, affecting hotels, restaurants, and cultural attractions. Economic impact on local economies. The drop in Canadian spending is being felt by businesses in regions that have historically relied on cross-border tourism, potentially leading to economic challenges for local communities. Targeted campaigns to revitalize Canadian tourism. New York State and city tourism agencies are actively working on campaigns to encourage Canadian visitors to return, highlighting the ease of access and the diverse experiences the state offers. Nevada, Las Vegas, losing some of its northern high rollers. Nevada, particularly Las Vegas, has historically attracted a significant number of Canadian tourists drawn to its entertainment, gaming, and shopping offerings. Canadians have often been among the top international visitors to the Silver State. However, the Canadian travel slowdown is impacting Nevada's tourism sector. Decline in Canadian visitors to Las Vegas. The number of Canadian tourists visiting Las Vegas has decreased, affecting hotel occupancy rates, casino revenues, and spending on entertainment and dining. Impact on the overall tourism economy. Given the significant contribution of Canadian tourism to Nevada's economy, the decline is having a noticeable impact on the state's overall tourism revenue and related employment. Efforts to diversify international tourism. Nevada tourism authorities are likely focusing on diversifying their international visitor base to mitigate the impact of the decline in Canadian travel. Targeted marketing to re-engage Canadian travelers. Efforts are underway to reassure Canadian visitors and highlight the value proposition of traveling to Nevada. 5. Michigan. Border communities battered by reduced crossings. Michigan, with its shared border with Ontario, has traditionally seen a significant flow of Canadian tourists, particularly for shopping, leisure activities, and visiting family and friends. The decline in Canadian travel is having a direct impact on Michigan's border communities. Significant drop in land, border crossings, the reluctance of Canadians to travel to the US by car has led to a substantial decrease in border crossings, directly impacting businesses in border towns. Economic hardship for border retail and hospitality. Retail stores, restaurants, and hotels in Michigan's border regions are experiencing reduced revenue due to the decline in Canadian day trippers and short-stay visitors. Impact on local employment. The decrease in tourism activity can lead to job losses in the hospitality and retail sectors in these border communities. Local initiatives to attract Canadian visitors. Local businesses and tourism organizations are likely implementing initiatives to encourage Canadians to return, emphasizing the welcoming nature of Michigan communities. 6. Washington State, Pacific Northwest, feeling the absence of Canadian neighbors. Washington State, bordering British Columbia, has historically enjoyed a strong tourism relationship with Canada, attracting visitors to its cities, natural beauty, and shopping destinations. The Canadian travel slowdown is being felt across the state. Decline in cross-border shopping and leisure travel. The reluctance of Canadians to travel south for shopping excursions and leisure trips is impacting businesses in cities like Seattle and border towns. Reduced visitation to natural attractions. Popular natural attractions in Washington State that have historically drawn Canadian visitors are also experiencing a decline in numbers. Economic impact on tourism-dependent businesses. Hotels, restaurants, and attractions across Washington State are seeing a negative impact from the decrease in Canadian tourism revenue. Efforts to highlight Washington's appeal to Canadians. Tourism agencies in Washington State are likely working on campaigns to remind Canadians of the state's attractions and welcoming environment. 7. Arizona. Snowbird season, less sunny, without Canadian visitors. Arizona, like Florida, has been a popular winter destination for Canadian snowbirds seeking respite from the cold. The state is now experiencing a cooling of this traditional travel pattern. Reduced numbers of long-stay Canadian visitors. The economic and political factors deterring Canadians from extended stays in the US are impacting Arizona's snowbird season, leading to lower occupancy rates in long-term rental properties and reduced spending. Decline in golf and leisure tourism. Arizona's golf courses and other leisure attractions that have historically drawn Canadian tourists are also seeing a decrease in visitors. Economic consequences for retirement communities and related businesses. The decline in Canadian snowbirds is impacting businesses that cater to this demographic, potentially leading to economic challenges in retirement communities. Targeted outreach to the Canadian snowbird market. Arizona tourism agencies and real estate companies are likely focusing on campaigns to reassure Canadian retirees and highlight the benefits of spending their winters in the state. 8. Vermont, New England charm, losing its northern appeal. Vermont, with its picturesque landscapes and proximity to Quebec, has traditionally attracted Canadian tourists for its fall foliage, skiing, and charming towns. The state is now experiencing a decline in these cross-border visits. Drop in fall foliage and winter sports tourism. The number of Canadian tourists visiting Vermont for its autumn colors and winter skiing has decreased. Impact on local businesses in border regions. Small businesses in Vermont's border regions that rely on Canadian day trippers and weekend visitors are facing economic challenges. Reduced spending in restaurants, hotels, and retail. The decline in Canadian tourism is impacting spending in Vermont's hospitality, dining, and retail sectors. Community efforts to welcome back Canadian visitors. Local communities and tourism organizations are likely working on initiatives to make Canadian visitors feel welcome and encourage their return. Conclusion. The economic impact of Canada's travel slowdown is being felt across numerous US states that have historically benefited from the strong flow of cross-border tourism. The loss of millions of dollars in revenue is affecting various sectors, from hospitality and retail to entertainment and real estate. While the reasons behind this shift are multifaceted and include economic factors, political perceptions, and a push for domestic tourism in Canada, the consequences for these US states are significant. Moving forward, these states will likely need to intensify their efforts to reassure Canadian travelers, highlight their welcoming environments, and potentially diversify their tourism markets to mitigate the economic impact of this evolving cross-border dynamic. The deep economic ties between the two nations underscore the importance of addressing the concerns driving this travel boycott to ensure a mutually beneficial flow of tourism in the years to come.